Good morning, everyone. How are y'all? It is 5:38 on this, the last day of April, and it is 52 degrees, partly cloudy. Well, I guess that's better than completely cloudy. Still don't know the difference. Anyway, we're going to begin now. We are going to try to finish Matthew, the word of Matthew. But we're going to start on book 22 because catch everybody up. It's kind of like last time on Late Night Baltimore. All right. So everybody just cool heels, relax, get your coffee ready, and sit back and listen to some great words by from the holy book, the gospel, according to Matthew. Okay. And so we begin Matthew chapter 22. As I do ask if you want comments. Comments are good. We take the comments live and we really enjoy them. But let's get started here. Matthew chapter 22. Let me get my chair right. I'm going to have to stop during the breaks to clear my throat because we're getting into the third act, as they say. Matthew chapter 22. Jesus spoke to them again in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a king who gave a wedding feast for his son. And he sent out his slaves to call those who had been invited to the wedding feast, and they were unwilling to come. Again, he sent out other slaves, saying, 'Tell those who have been invited, behold, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fattened livestock are all butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast.' But they paid no attention and went their way, one to his own farm, another to his business. And the rest seized his slaves and mistreated them and killed them. But the king was enraged, and he sent his armies and destroyed those murderers and set their city on fire. Then he said to his slaves, 'The wedding feast is ready, but those who invited were not worthy. Go therefore to the main highways, and as many as you can find there, invite to the wedding feast. Those slaves went out into the streets and gathered together all they found, both evil and good. The wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came to look over the dinner guest, he saw a man there who was not dressed in wedding clothes. And he said to him, 'Friend, how did you come in here without wedding clothes?' And the man was speechless. Then the man said to the servants, 'Bind his hand and foot and throw him into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.' Then the Pharisees went and plotted together how they might trap him in what he said. And they sent their disciples to him along with Herodians, saying, 'Teacher, We know that you are truthful and teach the way of God in truth, and defer to no one, for you are not partial to any. Tell us then what you think. Is it lawful to give a poll tax to Caesar or not? But Jesus, knowing their evil intent, said, Why are you testing me, you hypocrites? Show me the coin used for the poll tax. And they brought him the denarius, and he said to them, Whose likeness and inscription is this? They said to him, Caesar's. Then he said to them, Then render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's. Hearing this, they were amazed, and leaving him, they went away on the day that the Sadducees, who said there's no resurrection, came to Jesus and questioned him, saying, Teacher, Moses said if a man dies having no children, his brother as next of kin shall marry his wife and raise up his children for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers with us, and the first married and died, and having no children left his wife to his brother. So also the second and the third, down to the 7th. Last of all, the woman died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife of the 7 will she be? For they all had married her. But Jesus answered and said to them, You are mistaken, not understanding the scriptures nor the power of God. For in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. But regarding the resurrection of the dead, have you not read what was spoken to you by God? I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. When the crowds heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. When the Pharisees heard that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered themselves together. One of them, a lawyer, asked him a question. Testing him, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment in the law? And he said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. This is the great and foremost commandment. The second is, You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these 2 commandments depend the whole law and the prophets. Now, while the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them a question. What do you think about the Messiah? Whose son is he? They said to him, The son of David. He said to them, And why does David in the Spirit call him Lord, saying, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies beneath your feet. If David then calls him Lord, how is he his son? No one was able to answer him a word, nor did anyone dare from that day on to ask him another question. And that's the end of Matthew 22. Hello, all you people. Hey, Knacker Bulk. Hi. and Emmanuel Trinidad. Hello. Okay, now we are going to the next chapter. Chapter 23. And before that, I'll let you look at the green screen behind me. Yeah. It's Martin Luther King. We will find another great background. Oh, wait. I gotta go to this. I'm trying to get that. Still trying to get this. All right. Matthew chapter 23 is here. We add the chapter and we look for a new visual effect. We are going to put this. I like this. This is our background for this. Okay. And now we are ready. Matthew chapter 23, everybody. Who's with me on this Baltimore morning? It is 5:50 a.m. Come on, Baltimore, wake up and listen. This is the words you need to hear. Chapter 23. Matthew chapter 23. Then Jesus spoke to the crowds and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees have seated themselves in the chair of Moses. Therefore, all that they tell you, do and observe, but do not do it according to their deeds. For they say things and do not do them. They tie up heavy burdens and lay them on the men's shoulders, but they themselves are unwilling to move them with so much as a finger. But they do all their deeds to be noticed by men, for they broaden their phylacteries and lengthen. What is that? Lengthen the tassels. Lengthen the tassels? They broaden their phylacteries and lengthen the tassels of their garments. They love the place of honor at banquets and the chief seats in the synagogues, and respectful greetings in the marketplaces, and being called rabbi by men. But do not be called rabbi, for one is your teacher, and you are all brothers. Do not call anyone on earth your father, for one is your Father, he who is in heaven. Do not be called leaders, for one is your leader, that is Christ. The greatest among you shall be your servant. Whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you shut off the kingdom of heaven from people, and you do not enter yourselves, nor will you allow those who are entering to go in. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, Hypocrites, because you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense you make long prayers. Therefore, you will receive greater condemnation. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you travel around on sea and land to make one proselyte. And when he becomes one, you make him twice as much a son of hell as yourselves. Woe to you, blind guides, who say, whoever swears by the temple, that is nothing, but whoever swears by the gold of the temple is obligated. You fools and blind men, which is more important, the gold or the temple that sanctified the gold? And whoever swears by the altar, that is nothing, but whoever swears by the offering on it, he is obligated. You blind men, which is more important, the offering or the altar that sanctifies the offering? Therefore, whoever swears by the altar swears both by the altar and by everything on it. Whoever swears by the temple swears both by the temple and by him who dwells within it. And whoever swears by heaven swears both by the throne of God and by him who sits upon it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you tithe mint and dill and cumin and have neglected the weightier provisions of the law, justice and mercy and faithfulness. But these are the things you should have done without neglecting the others. You blind guides who strain out a gnat and swallow a camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you clean the outside of the cup of the dish, but inside they are full of robbery and self-indulgence. You blind Pharisee, first clean the inside of the cup and the dish, so that the outside of it may become clean also. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like the whitewashed tombs, which on the outside appear beautiful, but inside they are full of dead men's bodies and all uncleanliness. So you too outwardly appear righteous to men, but inwardly you are full of hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you build the tombs of the prophets and adorn the monuments of the righteous, and say, if we had been living in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partners with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourselves that you are the son of those who murdered the prophets. Fill up then the measure of the guilt of your fathers, you serpents, you brood of vipers. How will you escape the sentence of hell? Therefore, behold, I am sending you prophets and wise men and scribes. Some of them you will kill and crucify, and some of them you will scourge in the synagogues and prosecute from city to city, so that upon you may fall the guilt of all the righteous blood shed on earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel to the blood of Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the temple and altar. Truly I say to you, all these things will come upon this generation, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, who kills the prophets and stones those who are sent to her. How often have I wanted to gather your children together, the way again a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, and you are unwilling. Behold, your house is being left to you desolate. I say to you, from now on you will not see me until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. And that is the end of Matthew chapter 23. All right, taking a little break. Aside for a second. Hope everybody's out there. Check the comments here. Who's writing? We have Second Amendment obligation to remove Trump from our national nation. Sic semper tyrannis. I think it's the 25th Amendment, but I don't say sic semper tyrannis. There's another way to express that. All right. Now, that was, what was that, eh? What was that? What was that, sir? Well, Captain, I don't know if he can. But if Scotty would have been in the, Scotty from Star Trek would have been in the Apostles. So, well, I don't know. Master, I don't know if we can. We're low on energy as it is. Okay, but we will go now to chapter Matthew 24. Chapter 24. And while we wait for that, let's come up with a cool visual. Visual effects. We got a lot of cool ones here. This is a good one. All right. I like it. Ready, everybody. Matthew chapter 24. Jesus came out from the temple and was going away when his disciples came up to point out the temple buildings to him. And he said to them, Do you not see all these things? Truly, I say, not one stone here will be left upon another, which will not be torn down. As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, Tell us, when will these things happen, and what will be the signs of your coming and of the end of the age? And Jesus answered and said to them, See to it that no one misleads you. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and I will mislead many. You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened. Those things must take place, but that is not yet the end. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. But all these things are merely the beginning of birth pangs. Then they will deliver to you tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name. At that time, many will fall away and will betray one another and hate one another. Many false prophets will arise and will mislead many. Because lawlessness is increased, most people's love will grow cold. But the ones who endures to the end, he will be saved. This gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all the nations, and then the end will come. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken through Daniel, the prophet, standing in the holy place, then those who are in Judea must flee to the mountains. Whoever is on the housetop must not go down to get the things out that are in his house. Whoever is in the field must not turn back to get his cloak. But woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing babies in those days. But pray that your flight will not be in the winter or on a Sabbath, for then there will be a great tribulation, such as not occurred since the beginning of the world until now, nor ever will. Unless those days have been cut short, no life have been saved. But for the sake of the elect, those days will be cut short. Then, if anyone says to you, behold, here is the Messiah, or there he is, do not believe him, for false messiahs and false prophets will arise and will show great signs and wonders as to mislead, if possible, even the elect. Behold, I have told you in advance. So if they say to you, behold, he is in the wilderness, do not go out. Behold, he is in the inner rooms, do not believe them. For just as the lightning comes from the east and flashes even to the west, so will the Son of Man be. Wherever the corpse is, there will be vultures will gather. But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will not be darkened, and the moon will not fail to give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heaven will be shaken. And then the signs, the Son of Man will appear in the sky. And then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory. And he will send forth his angels with a great trumpet, and they will gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of the sky to the other. Now learn the parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth its leaves, you know that summer is near. So you too, when you see all these things, recognize that he is near, right at the door. Truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away all these things take place. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. But of that day and hour, no one knows, not even the angels of the heaven, nor the Son, but the Father alone. For the coming of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. For as in the days before the flood, were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and they did not understand until flood came and took them away. So will the coming of the Son of Man be. Then there will be two men in the field. One will be taken, and one will be left. Two women will be grinding at the mill. One will be taken, and one will be left. Therefore, be on the alert. You do not know which day your Lord is coming. But be sure of this, that if the head of the house had known at what time of the night the thief was coming, he would have been on the alert and would not have allowed his house to be broken into. For this reason alone, you must be ready. The Son of Man is coming at an hour when you do not think he will. Who then is the faithful and sensible slave whom his master put in charge of his household to give them their food and the proper time? Blessed is that slave whom his master finds so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you that he will put him in charge of all his possessions. But if that evil slave in his heart, my master is not coming for a long time, begins to beat his fellow slaves, and eat and drink with drunkards, the master of that slave will come on a day when he does not expect him, and at the hour which he does not know, and will cut him in pieces and assign him a place with hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Thank you. That was chapter 24. All right, I'm going to set up everything for chapter 25, but I'm first going to get myself a drink, a liquid refreshment, as you were, but I'll have everything set up. Let's change the background. Let's get something cool we like. What do we like? We like this. This. Okay, we'll have this. This one. And we will have Matthew 25. I've got to go get myself a cold Coca-Cola sip so that I can continue to read in the register, whatever they call this. Okay. When I return, I will be prepared. As far as comments, thank you for the comments, everybody. My dad said history class is a joke and government doesn't teach young true past. Okay, that's probably fine. Okay, let me reply to this. How do you reply to this? Well, your dad has a great general point. You should go to a local library and immerse yourself in historical research. Starting with the Declaration of Independence through the Civil War and through the present. Use primary sources. Read scholars who All right, I'm going to respond to this person's comment. It's a good one. Well, your dad has a great general point. You should go local library, historical research, independence, the Civil War. All right, show that, and then show the comments while I'm. Okay, these are the comments. These are all the comments. They're all down here. That's the latest one. I'm going to wait. Can I have show comments up here? Yeah, on stage. Yeah. I'm going to get a sip of water and I'm going to start back. We're almost done. Then it will be time to go to the baseball. All right. All right. There you go. Did we find a visual? Did we find a visual? No, we did not. Did we? Is this a different one? Yeah, is this different? Yeah, I think this is. Is it? We will find a visual. Let's find another visual then. I think that's a different one. All right, that was comments. Remove all the comments. We're doing 25, eh? Matthew chapter 25. Then the kingdom of heaven will be comparable to 10 virgins who took their lamps and went out to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish and 5 were prudent. But when the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them, but the prudent took oil in flasks along with their lamps. Now, while the bridegroom was delaying, they all got drowsy and began to sleep. But at midnight, there was a shout, "Behold, the bridegroom! Come out to meet him." Then all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps. The foolish said to the prudent, "Give us some of your oil, for our lamps are going out." But the prudent answered, "No, there will be not enough for us and you too. Go instead to the dealers and buy some for yourself." And while they were going away to make the purchase, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went in with him to the wedding feast, and the door was shut. Later, the other virgins also came, saying, "Lord, open up for us." But he answered, "Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Be on the alert for them, for you do not know the day or the hour. For it is just like a man about to go on a journey, who called his own slaves and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to each according to his own ability. And he went on his journey. Immediately, the one who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and gained 5 more talents. In the same manner, the one who had received the 2 talents gained 2 more. But he who received the 1 talent went away and dug a hole in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. The one who had received the 5 talents came up and brought 5 more talents, saying, "Master, you entrusted 5 talents to me. See, I have gained 5 more talents." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter in the joy of your master." Also, the one who had received the 2 talents came up and said, "Master, you entrusted 2 talents to me. See, I have gained 2 more talents." His master said to him, "Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. And the one who also received the 1 talent came and said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed. I was afraid, and went away and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. But his master said to him, You wicked, lazy slave, you knew that I reap where I did not sow and gather where I scattered no seed. And you ought to put my money in the bank, and on my arrival, I would have received my money back with interest. Therefore, take away the talent from him, give it to the one who has the 10 talents. For whoever has more shall be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who does not have, even what he does have shall be taken away. Throw out your worthless slave into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. But when the Son of Man comes in his glory, and all the angels with him, then he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate them from one another, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the kingdom will say to those on his right, Come, you who are blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, you invited me in. Naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. I was in prison, and you came to me. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did we see you as a stranger and invite you in, naked and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and come to you? The king will answer and say to them, Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did it for these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did it to me. Then he will also say to those on his left, Depart from me, accursed ones, into the eternal fire, which has been prepared by the devil and his angels. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, you did not visit me. They then themselves also will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and not take care of you? Then he will answer them, Truly I say to you, to the extent that you did not do it to one of the least, you did not do it to me. These will go away into eternal punishment, but the righteous into eternal life. Okay, that is chapter 25. And now we're to 26, and I do got to take another break. I do ask if you can, if you like what we're doing here. We do a lot of different things here, but this is something we trying this week. If you like any of this and you want to support the podcast, not from the fact that we're reading from this, but just from the fact of other things we've done, you can look at the site and give a like and give a support and tell your friends and listen and hear what we have to say, because we have a lot of different views that you're not going to get. We are actually independent media. Okay, now this chapter is quite long, so I am going to have to go and perhaps not only get something to drink, I might have to get something to eat. So I'll put on some music and I will put a cool little visual. We'll come up with something very good. It's going to take us for this long chapter. Let's see what we have here. That's cool. I like that. We have that. We have that. We have that. We did the Avengers. We did the Storming with the Bastille. We did Peter Falk. Hold on, let's see. Let's find something really cool. Cool, man. Something cool, brother. This is something we'll like. Let's see, now it is 51 degrees here, Baltimore. Cold, mostly cloudy. Let us see what we shall add to the stream yard. Let us make this something cool. Yeah. This is cool, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. No, we want it original. We want it cool. Right. Warm. The original. Oh, I like, yeah, this is what you would like to see, right? All this technicals. But this is it. Okay, while you look at that, I will play you some of the cool music they give us. They throw us some music we can play. Let's listen to something. You like that, everybody? Okay, everybody listen to that while I go eat and drink and come back with sleep. Chapter 25. Right back to the podcast. I've returned. I hope the music was good. You enjoyed it. I have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich here. Now, everybody, $51 still. 6:36 in Baltimore. Drive yourself safe to work. Relax. No rushing. No reason to get into any kind of traffic problem. Just take your time and stay awake. All right. We are going to start on the big long chapter. It is chapter 26. All right. All right, that's all. All right. Now tell your friends about this. Give us a like and subscribe if you like to hear this. These are the big important chapters here. And here we go with our reading of Matthew chapter 26. Close your eyes. Meditate. Mindfulness. Now to read. Chapter 26. Jump in position. Okay. When Jesus had finished all these words, he said to his disciples, "You know that after 2 days, the Passover is coming, and the Son of Man is to be handed over for crucifixion." And the chief priests and the elders of the people were gathered together in the court of the high priest, named Caiaphas. And they plotted together to seize Jesus by stealth and to kill him. They were saying, "Not during the festival, otherwise a riot might occur among the people." Now, when Jesus was in Bethany, the home of Simon the leper, a woman came to him with an alabaster vial of very costly perfume, and she poured it on his head as he reclined at the table. But the disciples were indignant when they saw this and said, "Why this waste? For this perfume might have sold for a high price and the money given to the poor." But Jesus, aware of this, said to them, "Why do you bother the woman? She has done a good deed to me. For you always have the poor with you, but you don't always have me. For when she poured this perfume on my body, she did it to prepare me for burial. Truly I say to you, wherever this gospel is preached in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be spoken of is in memory of her." And one of the 12, named Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What are you willing to give me to betray him to you?" And they weighed out 30 pieces of silver to him. From then on, he began looking for a good opportunity to betray Jesus. Now, on the first day of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" And he said, "Go into the city to a certain man and say to him, the teacher says, my time is near. I'm to keep the Passover at your house and with my disciples." The disciples did as Jesus had directed them, and they prepared the Passover. When evening came, Jesus was reclining at the table with the 12 disciples. As they were eating, he said, "Truly I say to you that one of you will betray me." Being deeply grieved, they each one began to say to him, "Surely it is not I, Lord." And he answered, "He who dipped his hands with me in the bowl is the one who will betray me. The Son of Man is to go, just as it is written. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been good for this man if he had not been born." And Judas, who was betraying him, said, "Surely it is not I, Rabbi." Jesus said to him, "You have said it yourself." While they were eating, Jesus took some bread, and after a blessing, he broke it and gave it to the disciples and said, "Take this, eat it. This is my body." And he had taken a cup and given thanks. He gave it to them and saying, "Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood of the covenant, which is poured out for the many for forgiveness of sins. But I say to you, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine from now on until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." After singing a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. And Jesus said to them, "You will all fall away because of me this night, for it is written, I will strike down the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered. But after I have been raised, I will go ahead of you to Galilee." But Peter said to him, "Even if all fall away because of you, I will never fall away." Jesus said to him, "Truly I say to you that this very night, before a rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter said to him, "If I must die with you, I will not deny you." All the disciples said the same thing too. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane and said to his disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." And he took him, Peter, and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and he began to be grieved and distressed. And he said to them, "My soul is deeply grieved to the point of death. Remain here and keep watch with me." And he went a little beyond them and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "My Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Yet not as I will, but as you will." And he came to the disciples and found them sleeping, and said to Peter, "So you men could not keep watch with me for 1 hour? Keep watching and praying, that you may not enter in temptation. The spirit is willing, the flesh is weak." He went away again a second time and prayed, saying, "My Father, if this cannot pass away unless I drink it, your will be done." Again, he came and found them sleeping, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them again and went away and prayed a third time, saying the same thing once more. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us be going. Behold, the one who betrays me is at hand." While he was still speaking, behold, Judas, one of the 12, came, accompanied by a large crowd with swords and clubs from the chief priests and elders of the people. He who was betraying him gave them a sign, saying, "Whomever I kiss, he is the one. Seize him." Immediately Judas went to Jesus and said, "Hail, Rabbi," and kissed him. And Jesus said to him, "Friend, do what you have come for." Then they came and laid hands on Jesus and seized him. And behold, one of those who were with Jesus reached out and drew his sword and struck the slave of the high priest and cut off his ear. Then Jesus said to him, "Put your sword back into its place, for all those who take up the sword shall perish by the sword. Or do you think that I cannot appeal to my Father, and he will at once put at my disposal more than 12 legions of angels? How then will the scriptures be fulfilled, which say that it must happen this way?" At that time, Jesus said to the crowd, Have you come out with swords and clubs to arrest me as you would against a robber? Every day I used to sit in the temple teaching, and you did not seize me. But all this has taken place to fulfill the scriptures of the prophets. And all the disciples left him and fled. Those who had seized Jesus led him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were gathered together. But Peter was following him at a distance as the courtyard of the high priest, and entered in and sat down with the officers to see the outcome. Now the chief priests and the whole council kept trying to obtain false testimony against Jesus, so that they might put him to death. They did not find any, even though many false witnesses came forward. But later, 2 came forward and said, "This man stated, 'I am able to destroy the temple of God and to rebuild it in 3 days.'" The high priest stood up and said to him, "Do you not answer? What is it that these men are testifying against you?" But Jesus kept silent. And the high priest said to him, "I adjure you by the living God, you will tell us whether you are the Messiah and the Son of God." Jesus said to him, "You have said it yourself. Nevertheless, I tell you, hereafter you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." And the high priest tore his robes and said, "He has blasphemed. What further need do we have of witnesses? Behold, you have heard the blasphemy. But do you?" Okay, there's a little problem here. Hold on. Kind of mess with the flow. I did cut the paste here or something. Hold on. Hold on now. Let's see, some sort of confusion here. Hold on. That's 29. Okay, this is chapter 26. All right, we're going to have chapter 26 here. I got a little clerical error when I was trying to put this together. I hope that's all right for you all. That's why I thought it was so long. It was actually 2 copies or 2 chapters. But we're going to fix that. Everybody relax, sit back. 51 degrees, mostly cloudy. 6:53. Probably on the road. Like and subscribe if you want, if you like. That applause I only gave for my ability to, I think, fix what was the mistake here. Hold on. Hold on. Yeah, everybody. Yeah. Let's call this chapter 26. Whether it's 26, I believe it's 26. And wait. All right. These are long chapters here. But I have to go back and finish. All right, let's find a visual for this. Visual effect that we haven't used. This is the effect I want. This is the effect I'm going to use. And we are going to get this done. There's a few words even that have to go. This chapter is long too. All right, are we ready, my friends? Okay. Oh wait. All right. Let me fix things up here. Unprofessional. That's what I am. Unprofessional. Right, this might be some repeating because of some. I read most of this. But I think this is where it all is going to separate. All right. I think this is how I corrected this here. I did the best I could. This is some mighty, very serious literature to be dealing with. All right, friends. Let's go back, and this is what we're going to do. This is our recovery from what we did, but it's going to get everything in. Important ideas in the stories and pretty much the correct biblical sourcing. All right, here we go. Let me drink this. Off we go. Those who had arrested Jesus and led him to Caiaphas, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were gathered together. But Peter was following him at a distance as far as the courtyard of the high priest. And he came inside and he sat down with the officers to see the outcome. Now the chief priest and the entire council kept trying to obtain false testimony against Jesus so they might put him to death. They did not find any, even though many false witnesses came forward. But later on, two came forward and said, "This man stated, I am able to destroy the temple of God and to rebuild it in 3 days." The high priest stood up and said to him, "Do you offer no answer for what these men are testifying against you?" Jesus kept silent, and the high priest said to him, "Place you under oath by the living God to tell us whether you are the Christ, the Son of God." Jesus said to him, "You have said it yourself. I tell you from now on, you will see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power and coming on the clouds of heaven." And the high priest tore his robes and said, "He has blasphemed me. What further need do we have of witnesses? See, you've now heard the blasphemy. What do you think?" They answered, "He deserves death." Then they spit on his face and beat him with their fists. And others slapped him and said, "Prophesy to us, you Christ, who is the one who hit you?" Peter was sitting outside in the courtyard, and a slave woman came to him and said, "You too were with Jesus the Galilean." But he denied it before them all, saying, "I did not know what you are talking about." When he had gone to the gateway, another slave woman saw him and said to those who were there, "This man was with Jesus of Nazareth." And again he denied it with an oath, "I do not know the man." A little later, the bystanders stood up and said to Peter, "You really are one of them as well, since even the way you talk gives you away." Then he began to curse and swear, "I do not know the man." And immediately a rooster crowed. And Peter remembered the statement that Jesus had made, "Before a rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." And he went out and he wept bitterly. And that finishes that. Now we'll go to the next and hope that we're getting something correct here. We know we're getting the words correct. So let's check for a great visual. Is this a cool visual? Yeah. That's pretty cool. Let's go with this for this chapter. And let us continue. Let us and mayonnaise. And let us continue. We are now chapter 27. And let's hope these are not all confused. Let's see it doesn't end at 28. Okay, here's 27. Okay. Get ready now, everybody. We are going to get this right. We are going to come up with something for the final 2 chapters. Something that makes it all cool. Are you ready for this cool? Because it's cool. And then we'll come up, okay, we're going to use this for this chapter, and then we have something for 27, for 28. All right. We are here now prepared for chapter 27. We're moving along. Let's see, it is now. There's a flood advisory in effect. Ooh, that's not good. Especially when I mentioned and did that mention of Noah. All right, some more people come online and listen to these final 2 chapters. Come on now, get online here. Hey, yo, everybody. You don't have to like and subscribe. Just jump online, jump onto this live stream because we have the final 2 chapters of Matthew and they are the most important. And I believe everybody should listen to this. So get your friends and everybody. Turn off whatever you're listening to. You don't need the news for 10, 20 minutes it takes for this. Get on here, listen to this, give feedback, think about what it says, and we'll go from there. Come on, everybody, jump on here. Here it goes. Matthew chapter 27. Now, when the morning came, all the chief priests and the elders of the people conferred together and against Jesus to put him to death. And they bound him and they led him away and handed him over to Pilate, the governor. And when Judas, who had betrayed him, saw that he had been condemned, he felt remorse and returned the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned by betraying innocent blood. But they said, what is that to us? You shall see to it yourself. And he threw the pieces of silver into the temple sanctuary and left. And he went away and hanged himself. The chief priest took the pieces of silver and said, it is not lawful to put them in the temple treasury, since it is money paid for blood. And they conferred together, and with the money bought the potter's field as a burial place for strangers. For this reason, that field has been called the field of blood to this day. Then that which was spoken through Jeremiah the prophet was fulfilled. And they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price of the one whose price had been set by the sons of Israel, and they gave them for the potter's field, just as the Lord directed me. Jesus before Pilate. Now Jesus stood before the governor, and the governor questioned him, saying, "So you are the king of the Jews?" And Jesus said to him, "It is as you say." And while he was being accused by the chief priests and elders, he did not offer any answer. Then Pilate said to him, "Do you not hear how many things they are testifying against you?" Still, he did not answer him in regard to even a single charge. So the governor was greatly amazed. Now at the Passover feast, the governor was accustomed to release for the people any one prisoner whom they wanted. And at the time, they were holding a notorious prisoner called Barabbas. So when the people gathered together, Pilate said to them, "Whom do you want me to release for you, Barabbas or Jesus, who's called Christ?" He knew that it was because of envy they had handed him over. And while he was sitting on the judgment seat, his wife sent him a message saying, "See that you have nothing to do with that righteous man, for last night I suffered greatly in a dream because of him." But the chief priests and elders persuaded the crowds to ask for Barabbas and to put Jesus to death. And the governor said to them, "Which of the two do you want me to release for you?" And they said, "Barabbas." Pilate said to them, "Then what shall I do with Jesus, who is called Christ?" They said, "Crucify him." But he said, "Why? What evil has he done?" And yet they kept shouting all the more, saying, "Crucify him." Now when Pilate saw that he was accomplishing nothing, but rather that a riot was starting, he took water and washed his hands in front of the crowd, saying, "I am innocent of this man's blood. You yourselves shall see." And all the people replied, "His blood shall be on us and on our children." Then he released Barabbas for them. But after having Jesus flogged, he handed him over to be crucified. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the praetorium and gathered the whole Roman cohort to him. And they stripped him and put a red cloak on him. And after twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and put a reed in his right hand. They knelt down before him and mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." And they spit on him and took the reed and beat him on the head. And after they mocked him, they took the cloak off him and put his own garments back on him and led him away to crucify him. As they were coming out, they found a man of Cyrene called Simon, whom they compelled to carry his cross. And when they came to a place called Golgotha, which means place of a skull, they gave him wine mixed with bile to drink. And after tasting it, he was unwilling to drink it. And when they had crucified him, they divided his garments among themselves by casting lots. And sitting down, they began to keep watch over him there. And above his head, they put the charge against him, which read, "This is the King of the Jews." At that time, two rebels were being crucified with him, one on the right and the left. And those passing by were speaking, abusively to him, shaking their heads and saying, "You who are going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days, save yourself. If you are the Son of God, come down from the cross." In the same way, the chief priests also, along with the scribes and elders, were mocking him and saying, "He saved others. He cannot save himself. He is the King of Israel. Let him now come down from the cross and we will believe in him. He has trusted God. Let God rescue him now. If he takes pleasure in him, for he said, 'I am the Son of God.'" And the rebels who had been crucified with him were also insulting him in the same way. Now from the 6th hour darkness fell upon all the land until the 9th hour. And about the 9th hour, Jesus cried out with a loud voice, saying, "Eli, Eli, lama sabachthani?" That is, my God, why have you forsaken me?" And some of those who were standing there, when they heard it, said, "This man is calling for Elijah." And immediately one of them ran, and taking a sponge, he filled it with sour wine and put it on a reed and gave him a drink. But the rest of them said, "Let us see if Elijah comes to save him." And Jesus cried out against with a loud voice and gave up his spirit. And behold, the veil of the temple was torn in two from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks were split. Also the tombs were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tomb after his resurrection, he entered the holy city and appeared to many. Now, as far as the centurion and those who were with him, keeping guard over Jesus, when they saw the earthquake and the other things that were happening, they became extremely frightened and said, "Truly, this man was the Son of God." And many women were there watching from a distance, who had followed Jesus from Galilee while caring for him. Among them were Mary Magdalene, Mary, the mother of James and Joseph, and the mother of the sons of Zebedee. Now, when it was evening, a rich man from Arimathea came, named Joseph, who himself had also become a disciple of Jesus. This man went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then, then Pilate ordered it to be given to him. And Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it on his own new tomb, which he had cut out in the rock. And he rolled a large stone against the entrance of the tomb and went away. And Mary Magdalene was there, and the other Mary, sitting opposite the tomb. Now on the next day, that is, the day which is after the preparation, the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered together with Pilate. And they said, "Sir, we remember that when that deceiver was still alive, he said, 'After 3 days I am rising.' Therefore, give orders for the tomb to be made secure until the third day. Otherwise, his disciples may come and steal him and say to the people, 'He has risen from the dead.' And the last deception will be worse than the first." Pilate said to them, "You have a guard. Go and make it as secure as you know how." And they went and made the tomb secure with the guard, sealing the stone. Okay, let's take a break and ponder those words as we go to the next chapter, which will be chapter 28, the last chapter. Please like and subscribe and tell your friends and throw some comments and support us in any way you like. If you like anything about this presentation for reclaiming Jesus and the values of Jesus that often get forgotten when people are banting around his name in politics nowadays, they seem to forget the parts where he cared for the sick and the poor and the butchered and martyred and forgotten children of the earth. Those are the people he cared for and told us to care for. That part seems to get forgotten. Now we're going into the final chapter, and we are going to have a great, great background, and it is going to be bright. It is going to be this. This is the final. This is it. And we shall begin with reverence and respect, a moment of mindfulness. Think about what you're hearing, what you might see, what you're feeling. What sensations, what taste or smell you might have. Think of that for a moment and let us begin. Now, after the Sabbath, as it began to dawn toward the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came to look at the tomb. Behold, a severe earthquake had occurred, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled away the stone and sat upon it. And his appearance was like lightning, and his clothing as white as snow. The guards shook from fear of him and became like dead men. And the angel said to the woman, "Do not be afraid, for I know that you are looking for Jesus who has been crucified. He is not here, for he has risen, just as he said. Come, see the place where he was lying, and go quickly and tell his disciples that he has risen from the dead, and behold, he is going ahead of you to Galilee. There you will see him. Behold, I have told you." And they left the tomb quickly with fear and great joy, and ran to report to his disciples. And behold, Jesus met them and said, "Rejoice." And they came up and they took hold of his feet and worshiped him. Then Jesus said to them, "Do not be afraid. Go, bring word to my brothers and leave for Galilee. And there they will see me." Now, while they were on their way, some of the men from the guard came into the city and reported to the chief priest all that had happened. And when they assembled with the elders and consulted together, they gave a large sum of money to the soldiers and said, "You are to say his disciples came at night and stole him while we were asleep. And if this comes to the governor's ears, we will appease him and keep you out of trouble." And they took the money and did as they had been instructed. This story was widely spread among the Jews and is to this day. But the 11 disciples proceeded to Galilee, to the mountain which Jesus had designated to them. When they saw him, they worshipped him. But some were doubtful, and Jesus came up and spoke to them, saying, "All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Go, therefore, and make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to follow all that I have commanded you. And behold, I am with you always to the end of the age." And that ends Matthew, the book of Matthew. We hope that you got something out of it, and we hope that you found some peace and some strength from listening to it, as I did, and some inspiration, of course. Now, of course, there are some very complex text in the readings as we read in 2026. But the main ideas that Jesus talked about of compassion and compassion for the least of our brothers and sisters, and to love one another as we love ourselves. These are all the most important teachings. And we must remember that in 2026, when we're dealing in this political landscape that believes or seems to believe that certain people are much less important than other people, even innocent people are not equal to other so-called innocent people, and that no safety net should be given to what we call the least, to the suffering, to the hungry, and the sick, and those in pain, those who have fear and anxiety, feel isolated. There's a great movement of government that's present now. It controls all levers of government, including the courts, the executive branches, the state governments, almost all the press, except for maybe the independent press. And their idea is to somehow distract and work on their insecurities, their lack of egos, and their in some cases, some very perverse feelings about violence and cruelty to others, who believe that even though we're supposed to be a country that some claim the values are Christian, it's just we don't see it as a material. We don't see either Catholicism or any brand of Christianity or any religion. We don't. It's the material use of those of religion that we're separated against. A person's values that are informed by his religious feelings is never something that the Constitution is against. It's restricting or controlling sanctioned material realizations of some religious denominations, or people pretending to be of a certain religious denomination or faith that they aren't really. They're using it as a way to demonstrate control over others. But these are certainly things that we can talk about but nobody wants to talk about. I mean, the people who are weaponizing what they call Christianity. They believe in Christianity, all parts of Christianity except parts that have something to do with Jesus. So that's very important, and that's why we did this reading. Because whatever you believe in, whatever your faith is, the people who are weaponizing Christ in today's world, it appears that that's going to be their next move after the MAGA himself has to leave office after his term. It seems that that's the way they want to go. And we have to prepare ourselves for that. All the ideas of compassion and wanting to help the poor and trying to forgive people and trying to look into your heart and understanding that the kingdom of heaven, even though it's not said in this version of Matthew, or I don't know what gospel it's in, the kingdom of heaven is within you, meaning that you can choose from within your soul to do right. And well, that's all the sermon I got for this morning. I hope everybody got something out of this. I'm going to have to say good night. Good morning to you all. It is now 52 degrees, mostly cloudy. 7:32 in the morning. I'm going to take a little nap, and we shall all speak to you next time here on Late Night Baltimore. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for having completed this project of reading the book of Matthew. Thank Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all. We shall return to regular podcast shenanigans after today. Everybody have a great day. And don't forget it. Let's go A's. Oh, my Lord. We got to win. Okay, everybody. Have a great night and morning, day.
Big Rooster.